My daughter always says breathe. So it's Doodah Dave coming at you, 1977 vinyls. So I picked 10 and I'm just going to shoot through them. So let's get to it. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for tuning into my channel, Doodah Dave's Records. It's been a little while. And let's get started. So 1977 was a pivotal year. I looked up, it was over 2.2 billion in sales in vinyl. It was the peak of the vinyl sales. They fell off after that. And they were almost 63% of all formats vinyls were sold. So tapes, I don't know, I don't think 8 tracks were there. 77 was too early for CDs. All right, so let's get started. Numero uno, we have Asia by Steely Dan. I don't think anybody would dispute this being a stellar release. Well, there are some Steely Dan people that are less Steely Dan files than me. It's on the ABC label, the circles, and just a great album. What can you say about Asia that hasn't really been said? You've got a fantastic rhythm section of Bernard Purdie on the drums, the Purdie Shuffle, and you've got an incredible bass with who's the bass player? Well, Walter played a lot of bass, and Joe Sample, Larry Carlton on the guitars, and who's the bass player I'm trying to think of? Lee Ritenour on guitars, Chuck Rainey, thank you. The Chuck Rainey and Bernard Purdie pocket that they created on this album is not to be believed. It's just, it's stellar. Here's the inner lyric sheet. Peg, Asia. My favorite album, favorite record cut from this album is Deacon Blues. Victor Feldman, Fagen on the synthesizer, of course, Fagen and Becker writing all the tunes on it. And we'll just run down Tom Scott arranging the horns, Steve Gadd, Michael McDonald, Chuck Rainey, Victor Feldman, Lee Ritenour, I mentioned Wayne Shorter on the sax solo in Asia, and Tom Scott playing and then arranging a lot of all the other guys, Jim Horn, Bill Perkins, Pete Chrisley, Plaz Johnson, brass, Chuck Finley, Lou McCreary, Slide Hyde. You get the idea. It was rhythm charts prepared by Larry Carlton, Dean Parks, and Michael Amartian. So everybody got in. Irving Azov, Protection, love that. Who also, Joe Walsh and the Eagles and so many others Irving was involved with. So this is Asia. Beautiful cover there, 77. Number 2, we have a very big star in 1977, Linda Ronstadt. I actually had 2 albums from her. The other is a retrospective, but I thought I would go with the new release, which was Simple Dreams. She was dating J.D. Souther at this time, I do believe. Maybe she had just broken up with him. So he did much of the writing on this. It's So Easy, of course, by It's So Easy by Buddy Holly, yes. Carmelita, Warren Zevon, Simple Man, Simple Dreams, Sorrow Lives Here, I Will Never Marry, Blue Bayou, the Roy Orbison, Poor Pitiful Me, Another Warren song, Tumbling Dice, Rolling Stones, and Old Paint, produced by Peter Asher. And there's Linda looking very Hollywood at her makeup mirror. And here's the band inside, Waddy Wachtel I see there with the long hair, and Linda in a kind of evening dress, Rick Marotta, Fragile, so you can tell who was on this one. I don't have my liner notes on this, but this was an all-star cast as well, and a great album. Okay, moving right along. Here's my liner notes. There's Linda in her dress. Let me run down my people here. You had Waddy Wachtel, I mentioned. Kenny Edwards, of course, on bass, her longtime collaborator going back to the Stone Ponies. You had Rick Murat, I mentioned. Dan Dugmore on acoustic, and he also plays pedal steel. Background vocals, Peter Asher doing 2 roles as producer and backup vocals. You know, Peter Asher, who'd work with the Beatles and had produced James Taylor. You got Don Grolnick on keys. That was pretty much the band, and it was an awesome one. David Campbell doing strings. Who else do I see on here? Jumps out at me. Dolly Parton on harmony vocals and I Will Never Marry. Blue Bayou, same folks. Don Henley doing background vocals. So you had a lot of guest stars, pretty big ones too. Doug Moore, Wachtel, Edwards, Murata, Grolnick, Asher, and on Maybe I'm Right, John David Souther did background vocals. Waddy Wachtel. He actually wrote that song, Maybe I'm Right, which is unusual. Waddy being a great session guy and working with Warren Zevon and working with the wonderful Stevie Nicks, her longtime guitar player with her solo band. Tumblin' Dice has Same Folks and Old Paint. That's really beautiful, very nice. Herb Pedersen, who I know is, I think he's on some Neil Young albums as well. Great vocals. Mike Aldrich on dobro. So there you go. Special thanks to Kenny for his help, and Dolly. Simple Dreams. Moving right along, a biggie for 1977 on a lot of people's. I think this and Animals, which I'm sorry don't have a copy of. I will get a fantastic Pink Floyd album. This was Rumors. This was Fleetwood Mac. They had hits with the first Fleetwood Mac album in 75, but 77 really knocked it out of the park. And everything on here pretty much could Go Your Own Way, Don't Stop, Secondhand News, Dreams, Gold Dust Woman, The Chain. I mean, everything on here is fantabulous, as whacked out and crazy as the Mac were. And there you have Mick and Stevie. Speaking of Stevie Nicks, I'm just talking about Stevie Nicks. And, you had Stevie on vocals, Christine McVie on keys and vocals, Mick Fleetwood on the drums, John McVie on the bass, and a very, can you see that picture of him with the afro, very hippie-ish looking Lindsey Buckingham on the lead guitar. So great, the great Rumors. I mean, Rumors in Asia, it's just such popular albums. Grateful Dead, Terrapin Station. This was kind of a new, it was a new label for them, Arista. I guess they released the live album on Arista, I think, this Steal Your Face. But this was the first studio album, I believe, on Arista. Long time. They had wanted to get them from Warner's. Estimated Profit, Samson and Delilah. They covered Dancing on the Streets here, which is a song they did back in the 60s. And the second side is all Terrapin Station. Produced by Keith Olsen, who produced this album, the Fleetwood Mac Rumors album, and the first album. The great cover, the dancing terrapins there. And a really solid album. You got the mono eyeball skull there. A good, solid album from the Dead. These songs really fleshed out live. Samson, Prophet, Terrapin, especially, and Passenger, the really nice Phil Lesh pen song. Next we have Paul Simon, and I'm recruiting. It's the greatest hits. So you've got, but you've got 2 new songs on it. Slip Sliding Away was new, which is a fantastic song, and Stranded in a Limousine, which is kind of like a deep cut. Still Crazy after all these years. Duncan, Have a Good Time. Me and Julio, Something So Right. Kodachrome, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. American Tune. Mother and Child Reunion, Loves Me Like a Rock, Take Me to the Mardi Gras. So nothing is a waste on this. Is a really, really excellent Simon collection. If you're going to get solo Paul Simon, this is a nice place to start. Released in 77. I didn't do too many best ofs, but this one, being a big Paul Simon fan, I had to nab. And you've got Ralph McDonald, Anthony Jackson on bass, Steve Gadd, Richard T. So most of stuff backing him up on these cuts. Brecker Brothers. Who else? David Hood and Barry Beckett on Still Crazy. The Muscle Shoals rhythm section guys. Becker again, Bob James on woodwinds and strings arranging, Phil Ramone producing. I mean, this is just an all-star album. Phil Woods doing sax solo on Have a Good Time. I gotta say, Bernard Esterdy was the engineer. Paul Simon, Roy Haley, longtime engineer for Paul Simon as well. David Spinoza, Ayrton Moreira. I mean, reading off the side guys with Paul Simon, it almost sounds like a lot of the sidemen from Steely Dan. I gotta say, strings arranged by Quincy Jones. He brings jazz guys in. He brings Muscle Shoals guys in. He brings studio guys. Jimmy Johnson, David Hood, Roger Hawkins on Kodachrome. Great song, Muscle Shoals sound rhythm section. Do It For Your Love. You got Tony Levin on bass, the bass player from not Genesis, that's Mike Rutherford. Thank You, King Crimson, and Peter Gabriel, who we'll talk about, and Steve Gadd on drums. See the overlap with Steely Dan. Bob James again, Phil Ramone. Who else? Just Phoebe Snow on background vocals. Patty Austin on background vocals on 50 Ways to Leave Your Love. American Tune, love that. That's great. Song. Many's the time I've been mistaken and many times confused, yes, and often felt forsaken and certainly misused, but I'm all right, I'm just weary to my bones. Still you don't expect to be bright and bon vivant, so far away from home, so far away from home. I mean, he can write, I'll tell you, I got cold chills. Mother and Child Reunion, you got all kinds of people on here. Lead guitar, Hooker Brown, Wallace Wilson, Denzel Lang, Larry Nectel on piano, the session guy. Roy Haley again producing, Love Me Like a Rock. You had the Dixie Hummingbirds, again Hood and Hawkins, Holding Down the Pocket, the Muscle Shoals guy, and last, Take Me to the Mardi Gras, Hood and Hawkins, Reverend Claude Jeter on the falsetto voice, the Onward Brass Band, and the Muscle Shoals sound rhythm section. So this is just Randy Brecker, Bob James, Valerie Simpson, David Sanborn, Patty Austin, Dixie Hummingbird, Oak Ridge Boys, I missed, and Ralph McDonald. Just a fantastic best of for Paul, coming out in 77. Next, live. I covered live albums. I'm doing it all. For 77, just my faves. So this is the Jeff Beck, Jan Hammer group, came out in 1977, recorded in 76 on that tour. Freeway Jam, I mean, this is just a great band. Steve Kindler did some violin, Tony Smith on the drums. It was basically Jeff backed by Jan Hammer's guy, Fernando Saunders on bass on most of them, Jan Hammer on the keys and just about everything. Really, She's a Woman. It's on here, the Beatles, Blue Wind, Scatterbrain. So a lot of the song Darkness, Earth in Search of Her Sun, which was from the Jan solo album, Full Moon Boogie. She's a Woman was the Beatles thing I mentioned. So this was 77 on Epic. Jeff and Jan, check it out. If you like Blow by Blow and Wired, get this one. It's really nice versions of the song, really tight and electric and poppy, I will admit. Maybe a little less jazzy than the studio versions, a little more poppy in your face, but Jan is, he's in Mahavishnu Orchestra. All right, I move on to Queen, News of the World. Another big smash album, this and Night at the Opera, of course, are the two most popular, with the the And We Will Rock You opening into We Are the Champions, which, FM radio usually plays together, which is good. You wouldn't want to separate those. You wouldn't want to separate China Cat and I Know You Ride, and you wouldn't want to separate Not Fade Away and Going Down the Road Feeling Bad either. Just some songs you just don't separate. And there they are, falling off the robot, and Queen in there. So that's the Queen band. So really great Queen album. News of the World, 77. Sheer Heart Attack is on here. I think that was Spread Your Wings. It's Too Late. I think everybody knows Queen, Freddie, Roger, and John Deacon, and Derek Taylor, right? Is the drummer. The wonderful Queen. All right, cool labels on this. I'll show the labels on this. There's the label and the label. Really cool. All right. Changes in Attitudes, Changes in Latitudes. This was a breakout album for Mr. Buffett. There he is in the pool, or in the ocean probably, because it looks a little... doesn't really look like pool water. This had the great Margaritaville on it, and a lot of other great songs. Lovely Cruise, In the Shelter, great. Biloxi by Loudon Wainwright, I believe. And his band, he nailed down the Coral Reefers by this time with Mike Utley and Harry Daly on bass, Mike Gardner drums, Kenny Buttry. Just great sounding album. Album's dedicated to the Coral Reefer Band. Boys, it's been a long time coming. So he had recorded in Criteria in Miami, where they recorded Layla, and Allman's recorded, and oh my gosh, everybody, Skinner, I think, recorded down there, and tons of other people. Clapton, Bee Gees, etc. What else I want to say about Changes in Attitudes? Biloxi, Norbert Putnam on here. A lot of his Nashville. So Jimmy was kind of getting out of folk country and moving into the mainstream with this. But what stands out with Jimmy, and always does, besides his effervescent charm and fantastic live shows, is his songwriting. And I always produced by Norbert Putnam. Yeah, I always tell this story when they asked Bob Dylan who he liked as songwriters. Number one was Buffett. He said Buffett. So I think he's underrated. This is on the MCA Coral label. I mentioned Peter Gabriel. We'll talk about Wind and Wuthering, Genesis on another one. He'd left already by this time, but this was the Car album. The first solo album, has Salisbury Hill on it. Great cover, Car. All these albums were called Peter Gabriel. I don't know. Peter didn't really want to name his albums. He was being Peter Gabriel. Cool Echo labels there with the colors. It's at Repress, I believe, but it sounds real nice. And Salisbury Hill, and the other one was Here Comes the Flood. Slow Burn, Waiting for the Big One. Down the Dolce Vita. What else you got here? Modern Love, Excuse Me, Humdrum. Moribund, the Burgermeister. Tony Levin, I believe, this started his bass playing, yes, with Peter. And when I saw him a couple years ago do so at the beach, Jones Beach. Really, Tony was great. And I believe he had Manu Katché on drums. It was the original band from So whoever played drums on that. It might have been Omar Hakim and Manu Katché mixed up. So both fantastic. drummer, studio and live. The band, Alan Schwartzberg on drums here, Tony Levin, I mentioned. Jim Malin on percussion, Steve Hunter on guitar, Robert Fripp, there's a big name, from King Crimson, helping Peter out. That's pretty cool. Joseph Churosky, Larry Wires Fast, Peter Gabriel vocals, keyboard, flute, recorder, and Dick Wagner, backing vocals, solo guitar on The Flood. Recorded and mixed in Toronto. There you go. So the our Canadian friends up there, Steve Westman, shout out to you and my other Canadian vinyl community people up there. What else? What else? Mastered in Toronto, covered by Hypnosis, the great Hypnosis that did Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. So it's really great. There's Peter, you know, hanging out in the car. You can see him. It looks like he's kind of asleep there in the rain. Moody, but a great album. On the I showed the label, Atco label. Okay, moving right along. Jackson Browne, another live album, but a live album that he did all new stuff on, which really worked out well for him and the guys. Again, this band: David Lindley, Russell Kunkel, Leland Sklar, Craig Dirge, Danny Cooch on guitars, and Doug Haywood and Rosemary Butler on vocals. Outstanding, this band. They'd worked with him on a couple albums. Shaky Town, You Love the Thunder, the title cut, Running on Empty, Love Needs a Heart. I mean, so many songs that made it onto the radio and really propelled Jackson. Paid attention to his songwriting and him as a Dynamite. I've seen him several times live, Dynamite live artist. Jackson Browne. Stay, the great Stay, does was the Maurice Williams, not the Zombies. I can't think of the band that did Stay. I'll think of it when I finish. Oh, Cocaine, Reverend Gary Davis. That's cool. Additional lyrics by Jackson Browne and Glenn Frey. Well, what would Glenn Frey know about cocaine? Anyway, moving right along. Just great. Recorded in Saratoga Springs, Homedale, New Jersey, Maryland. A lot of East Coast stuff. Holiday Inn in Edwardsville, Illinois. I love that. The last cut on the first side, and then the loadout. Love the loadout into Stay. So that makes the whole album. He thanks the roadies. All right, and on Asylum, Geffen, of course, one of the Geffen Laurel Canyon guys there, but really making it into his own. The Kinks, talk about making it into their own. Interesting, these guys. A lot of these guys go back to the 60s on this list, including Fleetwood Mac, almost all of them, but had huge hits in 77. This is Sleepwalker. I love this album. I had given this away. There's Ray Davies. The Life Goes On is fantastic. Life on the Road. Title cut, Sleepwalker. Jukebox Music. There's a lot of really fantastic songs on this Full Moon, and they're great. Ray and Mike Avery on the drums, Dave Davies lead guitar, of course Ray's brother. Ray doing a lot of the writing with Dave, vocals, guitar, keyboards. John Dalton on bass, John Gosling on keys, Andy Pyle on bass and Big Man, engineered by Roger Wake, mastered by the great Bob Ludwig. We love our RLs in the Dead Wax, and recorded in 76 but released in 77 in it doesn't say where it was recorded, but I believe in Europe. I'll have to check on that. It might have been recorded in it has a California type of sound. I wouldn't be surprised if they recorded it. It's on Arista. And that's it. Sleepwalker, the Kinks. Doodah Dave coming at you. I wanted this to be a little bit shorter, and I'll have some more 77. I'm going to do some short ones, maybe like 5 records each. Please like and subscribe. Stay cool this summer. Shout out to my buddies in the VC, which I always do. Tony's at LPs Are Us. Please check out his channel. Kenny's Audiophile does really nice jazz reviews, and I've got some 77 jazz. When I finish through the pop and rock, I'm going to do some jazz, Jean-Luc Ponty, etc. from 77, because there was a lot of nice jazz and weather report. Okay, have a great one. Keep spinning. Dave. And please like and subscribe. And thank you for stopping by my channel. Have a great day.